Have you ever thought that regular Formula 1, NASCAR, or IndyCar are just boring sometimes? Like you need something more creative, more fun to watch or participate in? Well, look no further, because today I have made a list of the weirdest, sketchiest motorsports out there, ranging from acceptable, like this 18-wheeler racing series, to seriously weird, like this one, figure of 8 train racing. Strap in, because we're going weird racing. Just before we start, I want to mention that this video is going to be a part of a series where I explain and show underrated motorsport from each category, like Formula Open Wheeler Racing, GT Racing, Rally Racing, and so on. If you're watching this far enough into the future, you can check all of the ultimate guides in the playlist. Thank you. First of all, we have to start easy, as I mentioned, with the European Truck Racing Championship. This racing series is actually officially sanctioned by the FIA, meaning you can actually watch it online and keep up with the teams and drivers just like you would with any other racing series. You can very clearly see that all this isn't taken very seriously, and if you talk to the drivers and teams, they would probably be a lot more relaxed than races in Formula 1. However, they still have a fully functioning website, which can give us a lot of redundant information like the tracks they race at. This Truck Racing Championship takes part mostly in Central Europe on lesser-known tracks such as Poznan in Poland, most in the Czech Republic, and Slovakia Ring in, well, work that one out yourselves. Apart from these, there is on Misano, Zolder, or Le Mans. I checked if there are any famous drivers racing in this series and found no one. But just by checking the recent races, I found out that whoever this Norbert Kiss guy is, he's kicking everyone's ass this season. Best news about this racing series yet? It's free to watch. They stream the races on their YouTube channel, so if you're ever just bored on a specific weekend at a specific time, you know what to do with it. I guess now is a good time to mention that America also has its own truck racing series, but apart from a Facebook page and a few very old videos, I was unable to find anything that would suggest this series takes place to this day. Next up, we have DAF Reverse Racing. Just by watching the video in the background, you can probably tell this is gonna be a fun one. DAF right now is a truck maker brand. I have mostly seen these trucks in Europe, and I don't think I've seen a single one since I moved to North America, so just letting you know. They are currently, apart from Tesla, the hub for electric semi-trucks with great outlooks for the future. In the 1950s, however, they were not just a truck maker, they made cars, and these cars slapped hard. Most notably, they included the first CVT transmission in a production car in 1958 in the DAF 600. Later on, Volvo would acquire DAF's car line by making the DAF 66 or the Volvo 66, a car which also featured the CVT transmission. And why is all this important? Well, the CVT transmission is very different from a regular transmission in two main points. First, it technically has an unlimited amount of gears, and second, you can go just as fast backwards as you can go forwards. So these little devils you see racing on your screens can fly at 85 miles per hour in reverse. What happened next? Well, we have racetracks. These cars can go fast both ways, and every other motorsport goes forwards. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't find any footage or written evidence that these races are taking place right now. The famous Formula 1 drivers Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda recently participated in a Red Bull challenge featuring this discipline, but no other official races are happening. I'm so sad. Following that, it wouldn't be a weird racing video if I didn't include Lawnmower Racing. Probably the wackiest and the cheapest way to get into motorsport, it started in England, because of course it did. In 1968, a group of young Englishmen were upset about the sky-high prices to participate even in the most amateurish of motorsports. It was also at this time when Formula V and Formula Ford started, more in my ultimate guide to Formula Racing video if you're interested. But anyway, the people of United Kingdom wanted to race, and they wanted to do it cheap. Lawnmowers were the obvious answer, but that begs the question, how do we make it safe? Depending on your location, there are various safety precautions. Cutting blades have to be removed. Obviously, you don't want to get chopped to pieces if you fall off. Engine covers are usually welded shut in case the engine explodes to keep the driver safe. The sport has become so popular and affordable that even on YouTube, you'll be able to find guides on how to modify your lawnmower to be race ready and safe. What's interesting about this racing discipline is that from England, it spread to Australia, which is understandable, and from there to the USA, which is still understandable, but it became a big deal in 3 states especially: Missouri, North Carolina, and New Mexico. Which, why? If anyone knows why that is, that these states like lawnmower racing a lot more than the others with no sense of proximity, please explain in the comments. I'd love to crack this mystery. Next one isn't really a motorsport since there's no motor, but here we are. Extreme Barbie Jeep Racing. Who said you need an engine and loud noises and a lot of fuel wasted to have a good time on the track? Extreme Barbie Jeep Racing allegedly originated from Alabama, because of course it has, and I love them for it. This someone lost a bet and made it a sport discipline is all about throwing your self-preservation out of the window and embracing natural selection. You choose your Barbie Jeep, made for kids, and then just yeet yourself downhill, trying not to fall over and make it to the finish line at the bottom of the hill. To qualify as a finisher, you have to make it down the hill with at least a part of your royal steed still intact. The best part is that these people aren't some crazy sickos risking their life. They're usually just perfectly respectable parents with a great taste for pastime activities. As the most winningest quote-unquote driver, Matt Myrick says, "Bruises are temporary, first place is forever." The best thing so far about this discipline is that it's actually featured on actual off-road racing events such as King of the Hammers. I love humanity. I think right now the only logical option after the extreme Barbie Jeeping is to follow with the Power Racing series. It sounds normal, but it's also stupid. Don't be fooled by the shoddy PR. What's different here? Instead of rolling down the hill with no engine, you take your Power Wheels from your childhood and soup it up. The budget limit is $500 and you can improve anything but put go-kart parts on your machine. That is not allowed. Anything else is basically fine. After your Power Wheels looks and performs to your liking, you then race against other on a ridiculously tight course. Remember, these are adults in the cars, so instead of the cars bumping into each other, you first collide with your bodies. Have you ever played Road Rash, the old bike game where you can push and kick people off motorbikes to prevent them from overtaking you? That's what I imagine happens in the Power Racing series. The races actually have two separate categories, sprints and endurance races. Sprints are classic races including lap counts depending on how long the track is, and endurance races are 75-minute stints in these bad boys. I desperately want to attend an event like this. Also, their slogan on the official website is literally, "Growing up is overrated." I agree. Next on the agenda, we continue with the stupid builds, but this time enlarging them. We're talking about the 24 Hours of Le Mans. For those who don't know, 24 Hours of Le Mans with an A is a very famous endurance race and the most important race in the WEC series. It's like the Indy 500 or Monaco in F1 or the Super Bowl or like the Olympics, but it takes place every year. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is a parody for this event. The spending cap for your car is once again $500 for both the purchase and the modification. The cars are actually racing for 24 hours, and I guess you can see where the problem lies. If you buy a car for less than $500, it probably won't last 24 hours of normal driving, let alone constant racing. I also imagine it's getting harder and harder each year because of inflation, since the spending cap stays the same. There are some safety regulations, but other than that, the event is all about fun. Dressing up your cars as parodies, or just straight up taking the piss is the agenda here. The only people you'll find in the paddock are a light-hearted, beer-drinking bunch of nerds and guys who just want to have a good time. If your car breaks down at any point, you can count on everyone else helping you, because this event is all about humanity and having a good time. The 2014 race held in California saw the most entrants ever, with 216 cars on the track at the same time. Not for long, most of them break, but at some point there was 216 of them. Figure 8 train racing. It probably took you about 0.02 seconds to guess where this sport is from. That's right, the United Burgers of Freedom, and I cannot express how much I love America right now. Let me first explain what this sport is about. You have two cars connected by a chain, one driver in each. The car in front has a working engine but no brakes, and the car in the rear has a dead engine but fully functioning brakes. Add the figure of 8 track into it, and you'll get the wildest, most American motorsport I've ever seen, and I want to see it in real life. You as a driver in any car have to anticipate the other's moves and think, because if you don't work as a team, you'll spin out or get T-boned in no time. The utter disregard for one's well-being and safety, and the absolute lunacy of this event makes me believe that humanity can thrive. Once again, your sense of self-preservation has to be tight, shut up, thrown in a van in exchange for natural selection. Oh yeah, the races are about the number of laps, but after a few minutes into the race, I don't think anyone really gives a fuck about that anymore. Now, we started with an official racing series that you can watch online. We're gonna end on one. The last entry of our video is Stadium Super Trucks. I don't think the whole ordeal is necessary. Yes, this sport is also American, and I'm probably gonna have a Big Mac after making this video to honor our brothers of Freedom Land. These trucks race on very famous racing circuits all around the USA, and that's the only ordinary thing about them. Let's address the obvious, the fact that there are ramps and they fucking jump in the races, and sometimes they can overtake a slower car by jumping over them? What? Apart from the absolute lunacy of the idea and many crashes that happen because of it, the suspension is the softest of all motorsports ever. Usually to be fast around a tarmac circuit, you want your suspension to be as stiff as it can be. Not here though. Because of the jumps, the landing has to be soft, so the suspension allows the cars to lift their wheel as they're turning into a corner. Now slap a 600 horsepower V8 in there and boom, the best motorsport ever. So far, anyone I've shown this to was mesmerized and hooked immediately, and people kept saying, how the fuck have I not heard of this before? If this is also your reaction, you're welcome. Fun fact, Aaron Kaufman from the popular car series Fast and Loud on Discovery raced here for a while but eventually left. Now, where can you watch this? That depends on your location. For some countries, the YouTube stream is available, but for others, you have to turn to either CBS Sports Network, or if you're in Australia, it's Foxtel Australia for you. Just play around with your VPN on the official Stadium Super Trucks channel and see if it works. I have found it to be very inconsistent, but folks, that's it. If you want more content like this, let me know with a like and a comment saying, I love it, father, or by subscribing to the channel. It'll help a lot. Now enjoy your weekend or whenever I publish this.